It's going right now. It's setting up.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining in today. I'm Fatima.
John here.
Hi, I'm Cyrene.
Excellent. So today we're going to be talking about healthy, happy feet. And our feet are a huge part of our body because, they help us walk, run, do everything. We're on our feet 24 hours a day. So if we're not looking after our feet, what are we really looking after? And I can tell you from personal experience, when my feet hurt, I am crabby. I don't know about you guys, but I get pretty crabby if my feet are hurting. So I don't know. Let me know. What are your thoughts on your feet?
Well, it's our way of getting around, right? So if your feet are not happy, like we titled it "Happy Feet," I guess. If our feet are not feeling good, you don't want to get up and get around. Prevent you from maybe going out to meet friends and taking some physical activity. It's important. I just mentioned that it's like the tires on a car. If they're worn out, they're not going anywhere.
When my feet hurt, exactly, I just don't want to go out and do anything, but I try to sit down and massage it. Um, but remember, your feet is connected to the rest of the body, and sometimes you have aches and pains, not just with your feet, but it affects the rest of the body as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And but our feet are also, so our feet are not just our feet, but we, and for an extension, like as Cyrene was mentioning, it carries up to our legs and our hips, and our joints, right? And of course our spine and back. And so, like as Cyrene was saying, you have one injury or whatever, if it's your arms, your feet are okay. But if it's like on your lower body, like you're not going to want to walk. And I can tell you this from experience because you guys know that I tore my hip flexor ligament and I've always been
Mhm.
very active. I could not walk. Like I had to reteach myself how to walk. And so it's very painful and it's a lot of coordination and like, but they also say if you're not moving, you're not you're not lubricating your joints. So it's a catch 22. Yeah, you're hurt, but you got to move them. You got to move your feet. You got to, and then I've sprained my ankle like a billion bajillion times, or I've actually twisted my ankle and I still get up and I still go. Like I don't let that stop me, right? So our feet are very important. A lot of times we don't realize how important they are. And even, I'm sure you guys can attest to this, but our feet carry our weight. So even if you've got an extra like 1 pound, 5 pound, 10 pounds, well, it takes a toll on your feet,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
right?
Yeah, it's like anything. It's the more excess weight that you're carrying around, everything is, your first of all, your feet is bearing the weight of everything that's above it. As well, your skeleton is supporting that weight as well. So, with the feet touching the ground is the first contact that all of us make when we're moving around. If everything kind of above that is kind of not balanced or excess, it's going to be, um, your feet's going to have to compensate. And I think sometimes that's when things, maybe we overstress it, maybe we overwork it. Um, we're it's kind of, I think of like a building where the foundation's not very sturdy because it's kind of top heavy. Um, but exercising can help. But I injured my foot while I was exercising, so it doesn't mean that exercising can be a solution or a way to keep your feet healthy. But it is, being healthy, having your weight in a good range. Stretching before, like I injured myself because I didn't stretch. So that was my fault, right? Um, but definitely, be careful what you're doing.
Mhm.
and also what you're carrying, because that can, if you're backpacking, you're throwing your weight off, and a lot of people think that you can walk and run the same way. You know, it's not the same. Plus, with age too, as I'm noticing.
Well, you guys, I used to wear, I
Wow.
love my heels. Okay. I used to wear in these, run in these, do a lot of things in these. And as a woman, you feel sexy and you feel strong and you feel like you've got the height and, you
It's
know,
part of the outfit,
you,
right? It's
and
part of the outfit.
confidence, right? And you feel good in these. But I have to tell you, over the years, it became a little bit less. I wear less heels. I wear more of, sorry, excuse my reach, lower heels. So I'm comfortable with these.
That's still tall.
That's a 2 inch.
Hey, that's like 2.5 inch, which is
Okay.
great to get me by. And now for my casual wear, sorry,
Yeah,
I
they're
wear
more.
these.
Yeah, so those look, those are like runners or sneakers, right?
They
Like
are, and
they
they're
got a
really
nice cushion.
comfortable.
Hey, it's a shoe show today.
Yeah, hey, wait a second. I haven't got my shoes out. Like,
No, it's true. You know, like so just because like women are wearing heels or like shoes that are a little bit more taller and things like that, guys have shoe problems too. Like it's not just because guys are wearing dress shoes or running shoes. You know, we have. I think guys probably neglect their feet just as much, right? Guys don't really take care of their feet. Um, you know, a lot of guys are wearing work boots. You know, that takes a lot of. First of all, they're heavy. They probably don't provide as much support. They provide the protection, but they don't provide the support that you need,
Mhm.
especially with those guys like the workmen who are wearing safety boots. They're like 2, 3 pounds each, right? And they're wearing them for maybe 8 to 12 hours a day. So that's probably not good on their entire like frame, you know, like their back, their legs, their feet, of course. But you know, soak them, massage, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, there's ways of relieving it. There's stretching, um, but luckily we don't have to wear those things.
well, I did when I was at the airport. When we were
You had to wear heels.
not heels, I did. But we actually had to wear a steel toe. At one point, it was like mandatory for us to wear a steel toe.
And
Those
they
are
were heavy, right? They're very
they're
heavy.
so heavy. Like your calves hurt, and it was painful. Like
And then if you have to run, like I mean, some people have to wear a
you
steel
can't.
toe, and you have to run or you have to move around quickly. I don't know how they do that.
I don't
Like
think
I
It,
had to
so.
wear a steel toe for a while, and they're super heavy and they're
yeah,
hot, right? They're really hot.
yeah. And then okay, so now coming back to Cyrene Point, for me, I've always worn heels as well. I love my heels. But I found that after I had my hip injury, I cannot wear flats for too long. My back will hurt and my feet will start like the bottom of my feet. So because of that, I ended up with plantar fasciitis. So for me, I'd rather be in a pair of heels. Yes, I'm not going to do a 6 inch anymore. There's no way I can do a 6 inch unless I've got a platform wedge in the like I've got like a platform into it at the front. But otherwise, yeah, like Cyrene said, the heel is shorter, but I still prefer the heel over a flat
Mm.
because if I'm in the flat, it actually hurts my back for a long period of time. And then my plantar fasciitis, it kicks in.
Mm.
And now, in order to relieve that, what I actually do is I've taken um, an old like Coke bottle or like a Aquafina. Aquafina is actually a really like the way it's designed. It's like perfect. It like the grooves. It actually hits your feet really well. So you take a bottle, not a really big one, but like a 500 ml. Put water in it and freeze it. And whenever I find that my plantar fasciitis starts hurting, I actually roll it on the bottom of my feet just so I'm actually stretching the bottom of my foot out. And not only that, but it gives it a nice massage. And then when it's nice and hot, it's like, it's so cooling as well.
It's like sticking your feet into like a cold lake.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Did
it,
you
it gives it that nice massage and it's hard enough. You could also take a tennis ball. I just find with the tennis ball, it doesn't have the smoothness. And then there's this other thing. It's I've got like it's like a shape of a foot
Mhm.
where it's got about 5 different rods, and there's spiky balls. So sort of like what you've got, John, there,
Like this.
but
But
like
you got 'em in
bigger.
moves.
They're bigger, but they move, right? And so as you're moving your foot on that, it's actually giving it a nice massage. So the more you like, sometimes you have to press really hard on it in order to feel it because of the plantar fasciitis,
Mhm.
and that then you know you're in trouble. It's hurting at that point.
Did you ever have that, Cyrene? Plantar fasciitis?
I did.
You
I
did.
did.
Okay, so we all had it. Okay.
Yes, and I actually went to a podiatrist. So what he ended up giving me is one of those, slip-ons. You know how you take the inside of the, I forgot what these
Like
are
the
called.
insole, the
The
insole.
insole.
The insole.
Okay.
So you take the insoles out of your running shoes and you place them in with ones that they design for you on a personal basis. They customize it for you.
Okay.
So they take a shape of your foot, right? And then they put the customized sole back in. So you've got that support on.
So they're custom orthotics, custom orthotics.
Yes, they are basically.
Yeah, we had the same thing. So when I hit mine, like I basically wrecked my plantar when I was running. And I knew that it was coming, but I didn't do anything. And it was because I didn't stretch. Like I didn't stretch it enough before I ran. So I ended up using a tennis ball, and then I ended up picking up one of these to do what Fatima was doing. So this is your foot, you're rolling it on the arch, and I keep stretching it, and then I stretch my calf, but it took me 3 months to get over it. So I couldn't run for a little over 3 months. But luckily it healed quicker than usual because I went to the podiatrist as well, and he said, "You're out for 6 months. Like don't run for 6 months." It hurt really bad when you walk because it feels like there's a nail that goes right up your foot every time my right foot landed. And but after using this under my desk, because I was sitting at a desk job, I was rolling my foot pretty well the entire time I was sitting at my desk, and it healed on its own. So that was good. But now I know that I don't want to get it again because it's so painful that I do stretch, and I encourage my kids to stretch their legs and their feet before we go on our runs or even hikes and things like that, because it's so easy to get injured.
Yeah,
right?
that's for sure.
Yeah.
And especially if you're not watching where you're walking, you can stick your heel. Maybe you too, John.
Well, hey,
heel and twist your ankle in the grass, or if you're not walking properly on the sidewalk, sometimes there's an uneven sidewalk. You're gonna fall off, and you twist your ankle so easily, right?
Yeah, there's so many times I could have broken or twisted my ankle because you roll off the edge of a sidewalk, you're not watching, and you're playing with your kids or something, and how many times have we been walking on the sidewalk with our phones?
Yeah.
Right? And you might not walk off the sidewalk, but you might walk onto like a crack or trip over like an even surface, and that could break your toe or something like that. But how about besides that, is there any other foot related problems you guys experienced?
So before we go into that, okay, so here's an interesting fact. So we were talking about heels and how we women wear them, but did you know that in the 1800s, it was actually the men that used to wear the heels? It wasn't the women, it was the men, and they were wearing them like to shorten their feet, but it was more of a status thing. So
they were taller?
Yeah. It gave them the authority, and so that's where it transformed. So
John,
John,
you don't have to do that anymore.
So John, you can put on a pair of heels.
Yeah, only if they're like cowboy boots or something.
But now we basically, in order to take care of my feet, like you guys all said, massage your feet, make sure you stretch them, and when you take a shower or have a bath, did you know that we want to feel comfortable, and we always turn up the heat, like the warm, I guess, the water really, really hot, but that doesn't work for our feet. We want to keep it nice and warm so it won't dry out.
So not hot, but warm.
Exactly. And then you moisturize it. And like your face, you wouldn't put alcohol in it. So why would you do that on your feet? So you would have a nice lotion, moisturizing lotion that would keep it soft and moist, and socks. I have a tendency during the summer, you guys, to go outside and not wear any shoes and just go barefoot. That's not a good idea.
But I mean, your feet help you ground yourself, right? So when you're actually standing on the cement barefoot, that actually helps align your feet as well. So there's like stretches that you can do with your toes. If you actually, so our feet are like this all the time, right? But if we actually spread them out as much as we can, so they look like cob feet, you're actually stretching out your feet. And then that also in the grass, it feels amazing to be like, you know, standing in the grass barefoot, because now that's helping you ground yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I walk out all the
protection.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
do
walk
it in a
out.
safe way though, right? I mean, you got to be in an area where it's safe and there's no,
Yeah.
you know, wood
Exactly.
chips, nails, glass, or anything. You know, walking on the sand bare feet is nice too, right? That's
Yeah.
always nice.
It's
And
a natural pedicure.
yeah, it's very nice. You know, take care of your feet because, you know, you don't want your feet to start, you know, having issues before you take care of them. Just like anything else, you know, you don't want you know, you go to a dentist for preventative measures, right? You go to the eye doctor, we've covered that as well, for keeping our eyes in check, where our feet is probably just as used or more. You know, we use our eyes as soon as we wake up, we use our eyes and we get out of bed. So, you know, it's one of those things where people overlook because they just neglect it until it starts hurting, like having bunions, having, you know,
Blisters.
blisters, having corns or whatever it
Yeah.
is, right? Or whatever it may be. And um, yeah, I've had so many foot issues. Like right now, the one thing, I don't know if you guys know what it is, but it's not a bunion on my left. You know, I guess if this is your foot, the left foot, that first big knuckle, I
Yes.
guess, it's that's where the bunion would be. I thought it was a bunion, but it's not. I went to the podiatrist because it was hurting really, really bad. And what happened was many years ago, we, I think I told you guys this, but there's carpet and then tile. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, like that little piece of metal that separates the two to make it look nice, well, there's screws that go into the ground.
Yeah.
That one of the screws kind of popped up just a little bit, and I was wearing barefoot in the house, and I must have just landed right on it,
Ouch.
and it hit that bone. So that of course it got bruised and it hurt really bad. And then but I hit it again and again on the same spot. So what happens is your bone starts to create calcification. You know, it starts to get a little bump. But so I went to the doctor and I thought, oh, please don't let it be a bunion because then it's surgery for sure. It's surgery. And it started hurting really bad, about twice a year. I found out it wasn't. I found out it was what they call um, a
It wasn't a callus, eh?
no, it wasn't callus. It wasn't like it wasn't something bad. It was actually some. It was a gel. It's a gel. So you know, like the fluids in between your joints, like the gel that's in between. Sometimes if you injure it, like traumatize it, it creates a little bubble, almost like a blister, but it's filled with gel. So what happens is you have to, and it keeps coming because it's there to protect your knuckle, kind of like protect the joint. So it's like a
Okay.
cushion. But that, of course, starts to become friction in your shoe, and then you get pressure back onto the knuckle and stuff. And oh, it's called a ganglion cyst.
Oh, right.
Ganglion cyst, which I never knew what it was. I heard what they were. I thought they were only on your hands, but you can get them anywhere on your body. So I went to the doctor, and he says, you know what? It's super easy to do. They make a little slit like right here, and then they just tie it off, like tie off that little sack of fluid, and then eventually it dies off. Then they stitch it up, then you're okay. And I said, do I need to get it done? He goes, well, you're at the very minor stage where you don't need to get it done, but you can get it done if you think it hurts. But I would leave it. I said, why? He goes, because you'll be out for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well, okay, how about wait? Why don't I wait until it's really bad? He goes, that's what I would advise. So I haven't done it. And so I'm more careful, you know, maybe I'll replace that strip. But ganglion cyst, I heard like it's so common, like plantar fasciitis. Ganglion cyst is another one. And then bunions is the other one too. And I like, once your feet hurts, you start to learn more about all these things.
Yeah. And another thing that's like very common is varicose veins. Like, so this is especially particular for people who are standing, you know, 10 to 12 hours a day. And so again, in my family, we've had two people who've had to have varicose vein surgeries, and it is painful.
What did they do? How do they get rid of it?
So there's two ways that they do it. Like, depending on how bad, like if it's like, depending on the severity of it. So if it's not that bad, what they'll do is they'll poke where the vein is bulging out. They'll poke at it and they'll drain it.
Hmm.
Now
It's actually
more,
like a needle.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they'll actually drain it. The more what's it called, invasive, is they'll actually cut right at your groin, and they'll stretch that vein all the way through
Oh
and
my,
inside
Oh,
out.
that sounds really painful.
Yeah, that's very invasive, and so there's been a couple of people in my family that have had it, that have had to have it done numerous times, and it's not pleasant.
and you
So
get that because you're sitting all the time?
so either sitting or, but more so when you're standing all the time.
Standing?
Yeah, and
So
like
you need to keep moving, you mean?
you have to keep moving.
Okay.
And that was the one thing that I feared when I was working at the airport, because we were standing 10 hours a day, right? And not really, like, yeah, you're walking around, but you're not really active. And that was one of my biggest fears, was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get varicose veins, because, and I don't want to have to go through it, because I've seen, other people in my family and what they've gone through. And I'm like, I don't want to have to go through it. So I mean, it was a blessing in disguise with my hip injury, but it was a pain in the derriere to deal with it. But I mean, I'm glad I don't have to go through that surgery or anything.
I wonder if
Just,
it's lack of blood flow, like
Yeah,
lack of circulation.
you only get varicose veins in your legs, right? You don't ever
yeah,
get it in your arms or your
no,
torso, so it's only affecting the legs.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
So that's like another thing that you need to be careful of, because if you're on your feet for a very long period of time, you get the varicose veins, and that's very painful. Or even the spider veins. Um, so it's like you're standing, and like your blood clot, like your blood, it starts clotting, but in like it starts looking like a spider web.
Wow. That none of that sounds pleasant.
No, and it's not pleasant to look at.
No.
Like a lot of times, then that also then comes down to, well, people have to start wearing longer skirts and longer um, pants and all that, just because they feel so self-conscious and everything, that they don't want to show off their legs.
Yeah, and you know what too is like athletes, because they're putting a lot of stress on their body. Um,
Mhm.
I wonder if they have issues with that too, because you're saying that varicose veins have started because they're standing too much, but athletes they're moving around a lot, but they're putting a lot of stress and circulation through their legs as well, especially like people that run like track or gymnasts or weightlifters, where they're putting a lot of stress on their lower part. I wonder how they, if they do get it or if they don't get it. That'd be interesting,
That would be
because
interesting.
even the stress, like it might not just be sitting. Like I'm wondering if varicose vein comes because you may not know it, but you're traumatizing your legs because you're doing like very strenuous
Mm-hmm.
exercise or sports. I wonder if that is kind of another cause.
And I think that's also another way of the free radicals showing up in our body, is through the varicose veins,
Mhm.
is because we're putting all this, pressure or stress on our body. The free radicals are popping up in ways that are saying, hello, take care of me, look after me, I need some help.
Mhm.
Yeah. So going towards our feet, when they don't look so healthy, we might have symptoms of actually having swelling on our feet or having a bit of discoloration. I know that sometimes I have a discomfort around my toenails of the ingrown nail. And the other things are when your when your feet aren't happy, there's a lot of swelling, and there can be like numbness or blisters, or and that those are huge indications, you guys,
Yeah.
for other things going on in the body, like diabetes,
Yeah, no,
right?
but so I mean, you guys probably both know, but you've seen those maps of the bottom of the feet, like either traditional or Indian, body charts, where they say the feet have so many pressure points that if you go to those,
Flexology.
yeah, is it footology,
Flexology.
flexology,
Yeah.
and people that are experts in this field can actually work on a part of your feet to help alleviate a headache or
Mm-hmm.
joint pain somewhere else on your body, because your foot's connected to almost every part of your body in some way. Like you have a toothache, you massage your feet, it might make that pain go away for a little bit. So you're right, like taking care of your feet is not just for appearance; it's for so many other things. That we may not know of. So, you know, go see, like, like literally pamper your feet, right? If you are gonna pamper yourself, yeah, we all like to go to the hairstylist, we go to, you know, facials, we go to pedicures and stuff, but feet, it's got to be definitely one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Our feet are the most important.
One of the most important.
One of the most important things that we have. And again, we gotta make sure we are looking after it and do whatever we can, you know, to nurture it and to keep it running for the long haul.
Yeah, one thing I didn't one thing you pointed out with the taking care of ourselves in terms of nutrition and exercise is that
Yes.
Diabetes.
Yes.
Like, because I just remember diabetes, some of like some of the you know, negative sides of diabetes is circulation, and a lot of diabetics, when it's a severe case, they start to not feel their legs, like their feet and their toes, and so because of that, they neglect their feet because they think that it's okay, but like pain, right? They don't feel the pain because they don't have the senses there in their legs anymore or in their feet. So when they do go hiking and they do go work or whatever, yeah, it may have actually been injured, but they neglect it. So it just keeps going and going. It's kind of like, imagine if you couldn't feel a hot pan and you reached and you grabbed it and you got burned, but you don't feel that. But you see it's burned, but you still don't feel it. So eventually it gets infected and so forth. So it's kind of, think of that as your feet as well. Like diabetics, I heard, like, it's not a nice thing to have, but it's got so many repercussions that can affect straightly like your extremities as well. Feet being one of them, and I've known that for, uh, you know, from my father-in-law that had that issue as well. So it's not a fun thing to have. So taking care of yourself, like what Fatima says, is, you know, eat right, take your supplements, sleep, you know, exercise, go see your specialist, you know, do your checkups and stuff, and just make sure that you're, you know, we're aging okay.
That's right. We have to make sure that we're eating properly, drinking the right foods, moving the body. My parents are both diabetics, so the toenails are hardened. You have some really hard skin cells underneath your foot, and you want to make sure that you're looking after yourself. If you're and go to your doctor, ask them, is this normal?
Mm-hmm.
Because it isn't. Because if you catch it early on, they can do something about it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You catch it before it's irreversible.
Yeah. Another common thing with our feet is elephantitis. Is like the swelling of your ankle and like your the lower half of your feet. They just swell, and it's like it's an actual term. So like if you look at the feet, they look like an elephant's foot with the
Is it
scale and
because of
everything.
diabetics or diabetes?
I'm not sure what causes it. I know partly it's circulation. Um,
It's another
and then there's
inflammation.
inflammation is, yeah, definitely inflammation, because like, I mean, for it to swell, that's obviously inflammation. But beyond that, I'm not sure what causes it and what, um, if anything, how you can prevent it.
Goes back to just taking care of yourself. You know, we're talking about feet today, but our feet is just a sign of how our whole body's doing, right? And so, um, if you have, even if some, like, you may not notice it, but if someone points it out to you, like, hey, there's something wrong with your leg, like one's blue and one's red, like, you know, some with the circulation, some people's feet look like a little bit discolored because of the circulation. Go get it checked out. Like, don't wait until you're in pain or something else drastic happens. So, you know, we've gone through all our experiences. Like, there's definitely, now I know how to prevent plantar fasciitis. I'm never going to get that again because I know how bad that was. Cyrene, you, Fatima, you both have got it.
Yeah.
But now there's other things that can take us down, right? So we gotta be careful with that.
So when you go look for a shoe, make sure it's comfortable, it fits properly, has a lot of support around the ankle and the bottom foot. I mean, sure, we want to play around with heels, but make sure that, you know what, if you do invest in a heel, it's going to be one of those shoes that you're going to wear from the car to the restaurant to the bathroom, and that's it. Not wearing it for like 3 hours, 10 hours walking or running into it. That's not comfortable, you know. And the other thing is, when you actually wear sandals, make sure that you are they fit properly and they're not easy to break. Make sure you have support around your ankle. And you know what, John? I don't know about you, but how often do you replace your running shoes? They say that you have to replace your running shoes every 300 kilometers.
That's right. That's right. And
Like,
even
I don't
sandals,
know
like
that.
sandals, people, because it's summer still, it's people wearing sandals and flip-flops. They were saying flip-flops are probably the worst things you can put on your feet, like worse than wearing bare feet because they have absolutely no support.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there are flip-flops and sandals that are anatomically correct. So you do have sandals that are very, very well made or very supportive for different types of feet. So again, it goes back to if you get, you don't have to wear shoes that don't feel right just because they look good, right? You can have both. You can have both worlds, right?
You
And
don't know women, John.
okay, so
We sacrifice a lot for looking good and feeling good.
and it's
But
all, it's all
that's the thing. Like, you come when you're saying that, like when we're younger, yeah, it's like, who cares? They're just my feet. I need to look good, whatever, right? But
On a
as
hot
you
day.
start aging, that's when you
feeling it.
start realizing that, okay, yes, I need to look good, and yes, I want the comfort, right? So
Well,
you can have that happy medium in between.
our feet is not as flexible too because when we're younger, it's more pliable, it's more resilient to injury, like it can recover faster. But as we get older, our feet is not going to be able to do that, right? So it's more important to, yeah, you still, again, we all want to have nice looking shoes, comfortable shoes, but comfortable also mean like comfort means many different things, right? So again, making sure that you have shoes, like whatever purpose you buy shoes for, make sure that they're fitted right.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're dress shoes, sandals, running shoes, heels, whatever you have. I'm sure that without going too crazy, I mean, you can probably have heels that fit a little better than they do by just having some things adjusted or like insoles, like you said.
Yeah.
Just to give you that support. And again, it's not to be meant to wear 12 hours a day.
That's right. It's
We're
better to
getting
wear actually a bigger shoe than one that actually just fits. You don't want something to fit tight, that's for sure, right, Fatima?
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that you don't want to, if you're like a 7, don't be forcing yourself into a 6.5 just because you really like that shoe. It
Really
ain't
love that
comfortable.
shoe.
Like, it honestly isn't. You want to make sure, like everyone is saying, it's got to be comfortable. So that means wear the size that you're supposed to be wearing. And if you are wearing flip-flops or sandals, a lot of times people tend to go with smaller, but really you're actually, so what they say is, like, when you get a sandal or a shoe, your toe should, there should be enough room for your toe to move, but not so much that it's swimming, and it at the back, like, so your feet should not be over the shoe size, so especially for sandals. So if you're wearing sandals, there needs to be a little bit in front and a little bit at the back, so that it's actually the right size. But if it's like too small or too big, well, now you're going to have to walk in a different way, and you're going to be putting pressure on your feet unnecessarily.
Mhm.
Even if it's like, so there's also narrow and wide, right? So that's another thing that you want to look at. And so usually dress shoes are narrow, runners are wider.
And also the height. I mean, some people's feet are different in height, like the actual, like where the top of your foot starts to go up. That heightness also has a factor because I've had issues where my right foot is actually taller than my left foot. So yes, I do buy the same shoe size. So luckily, my foot is the same everything else, but my height on my right foot is taller. So I always have issues with breaking in a new pair of shoes because of the lacing. I tighten it, but it starts to feel really like the top of my right foot after I get home where the tongue would be. It hurts. So it takes a bit of time. So I don't know how you adjust that, but getting maybe half a size bigger might help.
And you
Yeah.
can. And those are great ideas because then you can actually put an insole or wear thicker socks.
Yeah, or take
Just
out the insoles that come with it and put in the right ones for your feet.
squeezing
Right?
it in, yeah.
Well, we can talk forever and ever and ever, but we are actually running out of time. So is there any last remarks that either one of you would like to say?
Go for comfort, but don't forget that there's a lot of options there out there now. a lot of the doctors are actually making a sexier heel, so go check them out.
I would say just stretch. Like just take 2-3 minutes to stretch before you do anything exertive. Because pulling a muscle, we've all had it, but pulling something in your foot is not fun. It takes a long time for it to heal.
Take care of your feet and pay attention to what your body's saying. If you need to sit down and rest your feet, do so. Don't overexert your foot or your feet because there are other ramifications that do come with it. But at the same time, don't underwork your feet, because then you're not going to get the lubrication that you need. So it was interesting. I heard this quote today: motion equals lotion.
Motion equals lotion.
Yeah. So meaning, if you're not moving your joints, your feet, you don't have the lotion, you don't have the lubrication, and therefore other problems arise. So even when you've had like any sort of injury, what's the first thing they get you to do? Move that injury. Because if you don't, it's going to be stuck in that. It's going to be really tight to move. So that's why it was quite interesting to hear that motion equals lotion.
Well, one thing is, if people have not gone for a foot massage, like not the fancy nice ones, but like the actual physical ones for, is it reflexology or foot therapy?
Yeah.
Get it done. It's so good. Like, if people love massages, but until you get a really good proper foot massage, it hurts a little bit at the beginning, but after you're done, you're like, oh my, your feet's so happy. At least once a month, maybe once every couple of weeks.
Oh, we know John enjoys it quite a bit.
No, what, I don't know if you guys went to Sauna Vive, like they did it there. It was amazing because the guy was a foot specialist, a foot doctor, I guess, but spent like half an hour just on my feet. I was like, ow, 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 ow. And then at the end, I was like, you just want to fall asleep, literally, because again, your feet is connected to your whole body. So he's hitting the right spots to relax your whole body.
And getting rid of toxins.
Yeah, like flushing out your, lymphatic? Like Fred always says, lymphatic system. Right?
Yes. Yeah, so that's pretty much our show for today. Thank you very much for joining in. We've got a pretty exciting lineup coming up. So we've got a guest speaker. I'm going to try to pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it. It's Ari Hugerberg. He's actually from Ontario, and he's 47. So he's quite admirable. He's ridden from Ontario on his bike all the way to Vancouver right now. So he's going to be joining us, and then he's going to continue on his journey all the way into Mexico and into
he's going everywhere. He's going to the US, Central and South America. Total trip 50,000 kilometers.
Wow.
That's insane on a bike. So you definitely want to check out his story. Stay on Thursday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, you don't want to miss that. Then on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about chakra healing. And of course, we have our 28-day Healthy Way Challenge underway. So if you haven't registered, it's not too late. You can still get in. There are some cash prizes, but it's a whole mind, body, soul. The three of us are doing it. So we want some interesting conversations, and we want to see some interesting transformations. And, we want to be there for you guys through this journey, because we are coming into fall, and this is a great time to kickstart your healthy living. We just got out of summer where it's like, okay, we've done all this stuff, but now how do we continue being healthier and through the winter? So this is a great way to kickstart your fall. Do it with a friend. Bring a friend along and, join our group, and you'll actually get some recipes. You'll get some exercise tips along with much, much more exclusive interviews with athletes. So you don't want to miss out. And again, there's cash prizes at the end. So register and you'll find out how to get the cash prizes. We'll put the comments below. If not, you can always check out in our Facebook group, our Facebook page, I should say, as well as on our website. You can find any of the information there. Thank you very much for joining in, and hope you have a wonderful time. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in.
Have a great day.
Bye.
John, end it.